session 3, which is based on environmental engineering, water resource engineering, GIS, and remote sensing. In technical session 3, there are 4 papers and each participant will have 10 minutes for their presentation. I request all the presenters to restrict the time limit to 10 minutes due to time constraint. Now I would like to introduce the chairperson of technical session 3, Dr. C.B. Shivyogi Matsar. Sir has obtained master's degree from IIT Roorkee and completed doctorate in wastewater treatment from IIT Madras in 2000. His area of expertise includes water treatment technology, industrial wastewater treatment, solid waste management, occupational safety and health, environmental impact assessment, and biological treatment of wastewater. Sir has total 36 years of experience in teaching. Sir has guided 5 PhD students and at present guiding 5 PhD scholars. Currently, Sir is working as principal in Amrita Institute of Engineering and Management Sciences, Bangalore. Sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you for the technical session 3.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Now I welcome Dr. B.T. Shivendra, sir, to be the co-chair. Sir has graduated from UVCE Bangalore, postgraduate from Mysore University, doctorate from BTU Belagavi. Currently working as Associate Professor in Civil Engineering Department, Dayananda Sagar College. Sir is having 27 years of experience in teaching and has published around 40 technical papers in international, national journals and conferences. Sir, I welcome you for the technical session. Now I request chair and co-chair to start the session.
Okay, ma'am. You can ask the candidates to present it.
BTS, sir. Shivendra, sir. Okay, now we will start our first paper, the general idea of non-biodegradable plastic pollution in the environment and its management by Sujata S. Sujata?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you present your...
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Haripreeta, can you share the screen?
Ma'am, I shared in their mail, ma'am.
What, Haripreeta?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share the screen and start your presentation?
Ma'am, I have sent it in your mail, ma'am.
1 second. I have to check with Nitin, sir.
Can I share it otherwise?
If you can share, please
Yes,
share
the
PPT and start the presentation.
Just a minute, ma'am. Will you able to see, ma'am?
It is visible now. The screen is visible now. The PPT is.
Yes.
Start the presentation.
Yes, Haripreeta.
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're audible. Yeah, we can able to hear your voice.
Okay, ma'am. Very good afternoon to everyone. Our topic is about biodegradable plastic pollution in environment and its management. It is presented by Dr. S. Sujata ma'am, Department of Civil Engineering, K. Ramakrishnan College of Technology, and myself, Haripreeta, Dharani, and Mohammed Arshad. Next slide. Here is the content of that we are going to present here. It is about abstract, objective, introduction, why plastic is not biodegradable, types of plastic, microplastic, then effects of plastic pollution, source of plastic waste, plastic pollution management, and conclusion. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide. Abstract. This is the abstract of our presentation. This includes the brief content of the plastic and its adverse impacts on living organism and in the environment. Also includes the plastic pollution management. Next slide. The objective of our presentation is to show that the harmful effect of plastic towards the environment, then to reduce the use of plastic and the beneficial management of plastic waste. This also includes in change of habitat and attitude of public and to stop the overuse of plastic. Next slide. Okay, introduction. The daily use like toothbrush, toothpaste, drinking water bottles, or the containers of hand wash and shampoo bottles or etc. are made up of plastic, and we use it everywhere. The plastic is a petrochemical derivative that was introduced in 1907. More plastics are non-biodegradable because polymer do not break down to natural or environmentally safe condition. This is because the plastic is uncommon in target for bacteria. Most plastic is a petroleum product, which is the end product of few million years of natural decay. Next, ma'am. Why plastic is not biodegradable? The term non-biodegradable describes that polymers do not break down to natural or environmental safe condition. Most plastics are derived from propylene, a simple chemical component of petroleum. When heated up in the presence of catalyst, individual chemical unit monomers of propylene link together. This forms a carbon-carbon bond which is more stronger. So it is not.
Sujata. Hello, Dr. Sujata.
Yes,
As
sir.
the time is very limited, I request you to focus on the aspects. How do you manage it? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
How do you manage the plastic pollution and what you are presenting? That is much more important because of time constraint. Yeah.
Haripreeta, you can start from this slide.
This is
Yeah, Dharani.
Yes, ma'am. Refuse. Whenever and wherever possible, preferred items should not be packed in plastic, and one must want to carry their own bag. Instead of plastic, we can use cotton bags. Alternative for plastic or stainless steel, glass, recycled paper, cloth, wood, bamboo, etc. Reuse. Use of glass paper, stainless steel, wood, ceramic, and bamboo over plastic. Non-toxic straw utensils, to-go container, bottles, bags, etc. that can be reused. Reduce. Plastic waste by half in next 5 years may cut down the consumption of goods. Carry bag and have the plastic carry bag have restricted the usage of plastic water bottle in government function and also in meeting. Recycle. This waste can be recycled keeping in view the entire life cycle of plastic item from the source of manufacturing, distribution and disposal. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Policy and legislation regarding plastic. These are the cities which are all are using plastic, and this is particularly which cities are using how many amount of plastic, and fine are collected for the use of plastics. Next slide, ma'am.
Interestingly, your Interestingly, your slide does not give anything about Karnataka, Bengaluru.
Okay, sir.
Come back to that previous slide. Yeah, that's missing. Am I right, or was there any mistake from my side? Yeah, Chennai, Madurai,
Yes, sir.
Trichy,
Actually,
Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu.
I think
Only Tamil Nadu.
yes, student have concentrated only the cities in Tamil Nadu, sir.
But they didn't say about this during the presentation. Okay, let me discuss afterwards. Okay.
And the alternative of plastic or bamboo, cloth, wood, fiber, etc. And the method to reduce the plastic: isolate yourself of disposal plastic, cook more in home. It may not, so that we cannot use any plastic bag. Recycle is one of the best way to reduce plastic. Purchase the second-hand items, that so that it cannot, we cannot use the product for packing. Next slide, ma'am. Which we this is which we should use and which we should not use. We can use cloth instead of the plastic bags, and these are all the things which we should use. Next slide, ma'am. Conclusion. The United Nations made various steps, measures, and recommendations to all countries, which was refused by India initially. For the past few decades, plastic are used more than other things in the world. India has adopted one of the toughest law in the world, that is anti-plastic law. This is adopted by 26 states. Due to the lack of effective awareness, it is passed by the legislation but not followed it. Next slide, ma'am. These are the reference we took. Next slide. Thank you for this opportunity.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a few questions, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, to have an initiative, I asked the students to present a paper in the conference, and this is actually purely a conceptual oriented, as you would have come across it. So it's a conceptual paper, sir. Yes, sir. You can ask questions, sir.
It's an international conference, no?
Yes,
Or
sir.
just yeah. So if you don't mistake me, okay, everything is very elementary in nature. The whole content of the presentation is very elementary, very
Okay, sir.
elementary.
Okay.
If you don't miss me again, because I'm sorry to say this, even 10th class students and even 10 plus 2 students can give such kind of a presentation. There is nothing, any kind of an engineering management. All this is elementary, reuse, reduce, each and everybody is aware of this. In addition to this, what is the other ways of managing that engineering, ways of managing the non-biodegradable person? Only you are focusing on refuse, reuse, something like that. So I felt it very elementary.
Okay. Okay, sir. I
Who
understood, sir.
is our
Yes.
co-chair? ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಸರು?
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಶಿವೇಂದ್ರ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿ.
Hello, sir.
ಹಾ,
ಯಾರು?
ಶಿವೇಂದ್ರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
Shivendra, this is my opinion. It's very elementary in nature.
It is true, sir. It's correct, sir.
It is ABCD of solid waste management.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What is your opinion? You can say.
Same thing, sir.
So you can still ask. You can be. Please continue with them.
Okay, thanks, Haripriya. This paper just creates an awareness on non-usage of plastics. Okay, so now we shall move to the next paper, review on flower waste management and its conversion to value-added products to conserve environment. So I invite Kiran to give the presentation.
Okay, thank you, madam. Am I audible, madam? Hello.
Yeah, audible,
Am I-
audible.
Yes,
Audible.
it's audible.
Audible.
Please
Okay,
continue.
thank you, madam. Okay, thank you, madam. Okay, I'm Kiran, a research associate from Siddhganga Institute of Technology, along with my co-author Kavita H. My presentation is on review on flower waste management and its conversion to value-added products. This is one of the R&D projects which was funded by MHRD. And in this paper, I'm going to explain the various possible methods by which flower waste is converted into various value-added things. Introduction. First of all, the solid waste management is one of the biggest problems in the major cities of India due to the variety of factors like population, technology, and lack of maintenance, etc. And 3 R's, that is recycling, reuse, recovers, plays important role in any waste management processes. And since India is one of the most religious countries in the world because of the diverse temples located in the region, a large volume of flower waste generated daily is improperly disposed in an open places, or in many cases they are released into water bodies and they causes foul smell and causes pollution. And this flower waste or a floral waste is also considered as one of the municipal solid waste. So its management is also important role in the management hierarchy. These are some of the general statistics. That is, a municipal solid waste consists of more than 70% of the degradable materials. 960 million tons of solid waste is being generated annually in India. And more importantly, the 90% of the Indian municipal solid waste disposed of land in an unscientific and inappropriate way. And also it was estimated that around 800 million tons of flowers per year are offered across the temples, mosques, gurudwaras, and worshipping centers in India. And also 8 lakhs of flower waste are dumped in the Indian rivers each year. The floral waste is set to about 16% of the total population of the river. These are some of the general statistics. And the main problems are caused by the mismanagement of flower waste. Due to the fact that most of the flower waste is thrown directly into water bodies, that whatever the organic matter present in the flowers, they decompose and results in algal blooms and eutrophication in lakes, which further can deplete the oxygen levels in the water bodies and can cause marine life to die. And also these decayed flowers may also cause pollution problems on the land. This type of activities finally resulting in the alteration of ecosystem. That figure 1 represents the dumping of the flowers on the water body and on the open ground. In fact, the problem with the floral waste management is associated with its holiness. Thus, the people refuse to dispose the floral waste like rest of the solid waste. This is the main problems in our India. Okay. As floral waste contains adequate nutrients and other lignocellulosic materials, it can be utilized and converted into various value-added things like the various processes like compost making, handmade paper, bioenergy productions, extraction of dyes, essential oils, and also to make the eco-friendly products like incense sticks and handmade soaps. The figure 2 represents the general flower waste management hierarchy. And the first of all, the first step is to collect the flower waste and to segregate. Then it was a pre-treatment is to be done. After that, it can be utilized to value-added products. Okay, one of the main method that floral waste converted into value-added products is vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is a method of using worms to transfer organic waste into nutrient-rich fertilizers. Many authors are studied relating to this by using flower waste. They convert the waste into vermicompost by using various type of earthworms. And Patnaik and Reddy, they concluded that vermicomposting is a better technology and a process than that of the soil composting. Instead of doing a soil composting, we can use the vermicomposting for the better management of the flower.
Mr. Kiran,
Sir.
It is a funded project, research project.
Yes,
so I'm much more interested in what kind of conversion technique or what kind of flower-based management technique you are adopting or you
Okay,
are
sir.
planning to adopt something, that you please focus on that part rather than the literature, because where
Yeah,
the time
okay,
is
sir.
restricted.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, vermicomposting, and another one is extraction of dyes and essential oils. In this sector also, many authors have studied using the flower waste to
Got another
convert
technique,
the
next technique.
to
Next, go
convert
to
it
next
essential
technique.
oils. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, biogas
Biogas generation. Yeah.
generation. Yes. Next, generation of activated carbon. Next, in bioabsorption studies, we can use the flower waste. Then for making eco-friendly incense sticks, agarbatti, and homemade soaps.
Yeah.
And also in the production of handmade paper, we can use the floral waste. Actually, sir, we are planning to adopt biogas generation and vermicomposting from the flower waste, sir. And they have the Ministry of Human Resource Development also. They have sanctioned already, sir. This R&D project, which was already funded.
Yeah. I would like to know when this project was sanctioned. In which year it was sanctioned?
Okay, in the 2019.
Okay.
In 2019, it was a social science project.
Conclusions.
Sir, okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Next to plastic, the temple waste flowers make a significant environmental and human health impacts. Flowers are the essential component of our idolatry, but the disposal poses a phenomenal hazard to the environment. So its management plays an important role. While many prominent places of worship lead by example, they still need to take a lesson from the smaller memorials, and floral pollution is constantly increasing. All the habitats and the places of worship in the whole country must be a part of this mission. And the dumping process must be managed with a flexibility and a strict implementation of the applicable legislation. State government needs to actively play a big role in raising awareness about the minor temples on this issue, and state government should create innovative programs in different districts to collect and reuse the floral waste from the different sanctuaries. Floral offerings from our prayers will have a sense if we should protect them and use them wisely to improve our lives, beautifully our world, and create a better tomorrow. Thank you. These are the references.
Okay, thank you, Kiran.
Thank you, sir.
I feel one of the required project for Bengaluru urban area. So around 10,000 kg of flower waste are produced daily in Bengaluru that are disposed of in an unsafe manner.
Yeah.
So strong measures has to be taken to fix this problem. Okay, good work, Kiran. Okay, now.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Now I invite Vishwanath Bhatt to give presentation on understanding floodplain inundation, a NDWI based approach. Sir.
Madam, just sorry for the interruption.
Sir, no problem.
Shall I have some little 5 minutes discussion or 1 or 2 minute discussion with Mr. Kiran?
Yeah, definitely, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Mr. Kiran.
Sir.
Again, I'm a little bit not so happy because this is the funded project.
Sir.
And I suppose in the proposal, during making the proposal.
Sir.
Hello?
Sir.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So during the preparation of the proposal,
yes, sir.
Definitely all this discussion you might have made in the introduction and literature survey or whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
So based on that kind of an information, what kind of technological, you say, conversion to value added, what exactly in what direction you will be moving for that project? Again, everything is very general. Are you making it a case study of Bengaluru, or are you making it a case study of your own place? What is the way you carry out this research? I'm a little bit not
actually
presented.
Okay. Sir, actually this is a social science project. It was funded by Impress. It's a organization of social science.
Yeah, that you should mention, no?
Yeah.
And let it be social science. What is the way you proceed? Everything is general. Everything is general. Ultimately, there is nothing, any kind of a conclusion. You are very general conclusion.
Okay.
And technology, okay, segregation, there are different kinds of technology, biogas generation or conversion into composting, that's all fine.
Yes.
But as a social science generation, are you going to take one place or one village or one town? What is actually you presenting?
Yes, sir.
Is there
Sir, we are
any,
taking. Yes, sir. Sir, we have
any
taken
socio-economical
Sir, yes, sir.
survey have you done? Any socio-economical survey?
Sir, we have taken Siddhaganga Mutt at Tumkur, no, sir. Siddhaganga Mutt as a case study. We are collecting the flowers from Siddhaganga Mutt, sir. Daily, a
Yes,
10
exactly.
kg of
You are supposed
waste.
to mention in this presentation. Nothing is
Okay.
there. You could have
Actually,
stated
okay.
that this is the idea. Social, what is that? Social
science.
Social science study, and we have selected Siddhaganga for our study. This is the quantity of approximate quantity of the flower being collected in the Siddhaganga.
Okay.
And that way, you should have given the presentation.
Sir, actually, I wrote a review, sir. Review on efficient methods of floral waste management. I generally wrote
Sir, for everything, just one slide is enough.
Okay.
One slide is enough. Then international conference, I am interested to look into what exactly. You see, Siddhaganga Mutt, only when I asked, you are telling about Siddhaganga Mutt.
Okay.
But this is a funded project. I am surprised where you are using. You could have said case study. Siddhaganga Mutt, you should have told this is Siddhaganga Mutt. We have selected, at least in your presentation, Siddhaganga Mutt, you have selected for this study. A preliminary study has been done. This is the quantity of waste generated, and how they are actually how they are at present, what they are managing, how they are managing with their flowers. You should have focused on that part.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Otherwise,
sure,
it's very difficult. Because in the international
Yeah.
conference, very elementary. The idea which could have been presented in 1 or 2 slides, you are 10-15 slides, and at the end of the session, there is no. I don't have any which is the case study, where you are doing, what you are planning. Have you not mentioned everything in your proposal? That part you should have shared, no?
Okay, sir.
Please don't mistake, Mr. Kiran. I'm sorry. Sorry, don't mistake me.
No problem,
I think
sir.
I'm
No problem,
right.
sir. Yes, sir.
I think I'm right.
Sir. Yes, sir. Correct, sir. Correct. No problem, sir.
This I was expecting. Very nice topic. This is very social topic you have taken. I should congratulate you. And definitely, when your project is funded, obviously the project proposal should be very good. Just I wanted to know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I will
Otherwise,
include, sir. I will include the
very nice project. And you can always, whenever possible, you can also contact me. I'll also contribute in my own way. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir.
Very
thank
good
you, sir.
topic. Very good topic. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Vishwanath Bhatt, are you ready for the presentation? Vishwanath Bhatt?
Am I heard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you. Namaste. Respected session chairs, delegates, organizers. I'm Vishwanath Bhatt. I'm working as Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, and I come from a place called Ujire, which is very near to Dharmasthala. And my institute is Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara Institute of Technology. In this presentation, I'll be talking more about a case study. It gives me an immense pleasure to present a small case study on floods. Let me adhere to the time, maximum 8 minutes. I'll skip most of the introductory slides. The motivation behind this work is, of course, the environment, specifically the ravages due to the flood during 2019 in the coastal lowlands of Dakshina Kannada. The place is called Beltangadi. Beltangadi is a taluk, which is prominently has more of vegetation and the foothills of Western Ghats. So this place is a part of a small hamlet called Kukkavu. And on August 8th, 2019, it got disconnected due to the extreme event due to ravages due to the floods. So around 36 vented dams, they've washed out, they've affected due to the flood. Let me directly come to the core of this study. It's all about the riparian zone. It's all about the understanding of the aftermaths of riparian floods. So there are several studies which have taken, and we restricted ourselves to the remotely sensed approach, and we have used indices called NDWI, normalized difference water index, for our study. So what we decided to do, the first one, to demark the riparian zones of a river called Mrutyunjaya. Mrutyunjaya, it's a tributary of Netravati. And just to understand the inundation effects using multitemporal data analysis, and this is more often called the change detection. Now let me go directly to the study area, and here we have the Mrutyunjaya river, an exaggerated view under a 1 kilometer buffer. So Mrutyunjaya river, somewhere here it meets Netravati, or this flows through a small hamlet called Netravati, and hence we have a name called Netravati to the west flowing river. The flood hit part of one of the study areas, the hamlet is called Colombe. You can understand the severity. Initially, it was flowing on this end. Now, due to the inundation, it has stretched its other bank at least about 100 meters. So how do we proceed? We have a data. We took the data from Google Earth. We took the data from the public domain of USGS, United States Geological Survey. We initiated this work with a field visit, and then later we traced all those things in a Google Earth. We took about 1 kilometer buffer of the stream on the either side, and the total length of the river, the stretch which we could consider, it was about 12 kilometers. This has nothing to do with the catchment scale. We just took the buffer here. Landsat 8 and Landsat 7 for about 2 time spans, 2015, 2017, and for the 2019 years. So we wanted to analyze the changes with the base value of 2015 and 2017. And then we used open source softwares like QGIS and Multispec to analyze the data. So the methodology is very simple here. We have satellite imageries from 3 different time scales. And then we have the field data in the sense, the shape files. I don't call it as a field data, but something very unique, the buffers here. And with the help of buffers, we analyzed the pre-processed images. The pre-processing involves digital number to radiance correction, and then the radiance to reflectance. The details related to the formula and formulae which we used here. One is something related to the pre-processing, and the other one is the NDWI, normalized difference water index. It's a combination of the ratios of the differences of shortwave infrared and the green here. Some of the results, quickly let me present them. This part is called the Colombe. The place name is called Colombe, and you can see the buffers here. And the dark blue color, it indicates the presence of river. So we started with the Landsat data. Landsat data has a spatial resolution of 30 meters. That means each pixel, it gauges about 30 meter by 30 meter spatial resolution. Now, in 2017, there is not much change in this part. And when it comes to 2019, the inundation effects can be seen here. So the change detection, let me present the change detection. There is a lot amount of changes which have occurred in between 0.2 to 0.299 digital number, or the value corresponding to the NDWI values. So this is about the change. And here one can be very sure that in the 0.2 to 0.299, the change is more on 2019 whenever I measure it from 2015 or 2017 imageries. So certain images from the field visits. This is one actually available on the Google Earth nowadays. Initially, the river used to flow in this course direction. Now you have inundation here. Some more images. The original course was this, and the inundation extent is this. Some more from the other angles. To conclude this small work, of course, There is a rehabilitation work which underwent in the name of Baduku Kattona. From our study, it is very evident that the large inundation occurred during 2019 deluge is around 10% of water pixel gain, for which 2017 is acting as a base year. So according to the 2017 base imagery, it's about 10% of water pixels have been added in 2019. That is mainly due to inundation. And there are certain hamlets like Colombe, Antara, Parlani, they've been individually affected, mainly because of the small meanderances which are available at those places to the river Mrityunjaya. It's around the changes have been evident in the non-water region, which have contributed to the most to silt zones in 2019, and this is about 33%. In addition to the inundation zones due to the water, the extreme event, it is also evident that there are also a large change in the 2019 year compared to that of 2017 due to the silts. So there are also renovation works which have underwent. So just to encapsulate the flood prone area, the riparian zones, we started our study from 3 time scales using the Landsat remotely sensed imageries, and then we took it in a buffer of around 1 kilometer on either side, and that's how we analyzed some selected references. Thank you. Any queries?
Hello.
Shivendra, you can ask.
Hello. Vishwanath Bhatt sir, what
sir.
remedial measures you have suggested for that, to overcome that problem?
Mr. Bhatt,
what remedial measures you have suggested for inundation of that rivers?
Your topic is also very interesting and very much relevant. Okay, particularly last 2-3 years, where the Karnataka state is really having this kind of problem, and your presentation and everything was very precise, and I'm very happy for that. Is it a funded project or?
No, it's actually funded by KSCST. I took it as a challenge. The local body, they approached and they said anything is possible related to the flood study here. So I actually visited around 10 to 15 times. And sir, to put it in record, I have around 2 to 3 general articles in Kannada related to the Vishwanatha Bhatt anta, sir.
Really, Vishwanath, I'm very happy, and you can share the topic with me and let me study, and then just would like to suggest, because I basically is coming from Bagalkot. There also we have this kind of a problem because the Bagalkot was submerged in the Upper Krishna project. Okay, and I can understand the hard work behind this and how much they have funded KSCST. It's very little fund.
No, it's actually a little one, sir. It's about probably like 5,000.
Nothing. I understand. Very nice topic. You are basically a faculty, or I could not see the student?
Yes, sir. I'm actually a faculty here.
Yeah.
I had a very great interest in remote sensing, but presently my study is on hydrology. So this was a part of a student project. Yes, sir.
Okay, I could understand that. But take this study to our Sri Virendra Hegdeji. I think he also may extend very good financial support. The topic is very relevant and very interesting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you, sir.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Hello, Soumya madam. Hello, madam, you can continue for next presenter.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Vishwanath Bhatt sir, for the neat presentation. Thank you very much for sharing such a useful information. So now I invite Ashaji to give a presentation on feasibility studies of treating coffee pulping wastewater by anaerobic aerobic sequencing batch reactor.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah. You're audible. Please start the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to the chair and the co-chair, for all the dignitaries.
Asha madam, your voice is not audible.
About the study of treating pulping wastewater anaerobic aerobic sequencing batch reactor. My co-authors are Professor Achut K.N. and Professor Manoj B.R., working as assistant professor with me in the department. So, coffee belonging to the genus Rubiaceae family is one of the popular beverages consumed worldwide, and more than 80 coffee species have been identified. Amongst them, 2 are of economical importance, naming Arabica and Robusta. But currently, India grows about 3 lakh tons annually, ranking 6th in the world, producing coffee primarily from Karnataka, accounting for about 72%. So processing of coffee is a method wherein the raw coffee fruit is to be converted into the coffee. During this processing, the berry is subjected to the mechanical and biological operation so as to separate the bean from the seed. So the coffee is to be processed, preferred the method that is adopted. So that preferred method would be the wet processing method, which is followed all over so as to produce the superior quality product compared processing method. But the wet pulping method that is being followed requires mechanical removal of the pulp. So here that removal of pulp itself will be using large or enormous quantity of water with a simultaneous generation of wastewater, which is of our concern here. The industry, that is the coffee industry, uses large quantity of water at various stages of processing and production of the coffee that is required to us. About 50% of the total water used is consumed during the pulping process. So here is the photograph that depicts the left of the untreated coffee pulping wastewater into the nearby water bodies. So currently, whatever the location that we have selected for our study is in and around the Chikmagaluru and Coorg districts, wherein there are more than 3,000 estates have been located. Due to the seasonal nature of this industry.
Dr. Asha.
Yes, sir. So,
Hello,
yes.
Dr. Asha.
Yes, sir.
A very interesting topic.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Let us focus more on wastewater characteristics and then methodology of anaerobic and aerobic sequencing back. That part, please focus, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The aim of my paper is to present the feasibility of treating coffee pulping wastewater by anaerobic aerobic sequencing batch reactor, taking into consideration all the parameters of today's concern, that is effectiveness, availability, and eco-friendly nature. The specific wastewater drawn from the pulping units and to evaluate the suitability and performance of anaerobic aerobic sequencing batch reactor for treating the same. So here are the characteristics presented. So basically the coffee pulping wastewater is characterized by high content of organic matter, specifically the nutrients like nitrate and phosphorus, rich in macromolecules like pectin, protein, sugars, polyphenols, which are highly slow or very slow to degrade, which is of major concern here. And efforts have been made previously by various researchers using the conventional methods, and it has some of the pros and cons related to their own activity. But now in a present study, an attempt has been made to evaluate the suitability of treating the same using the sequencing batch reactor, as anaerobic or aerobic wastewater treatment is traditionally applied for treatment of medium to high strength wastewater, since here, because of the strength of the coffee pulping wastewater, that is because of the large organic load or because of the nutrients, we have selected this sequential batch reactor. So one of the easily accessible biological treatment is sequencing batch reactor, and the methodology that is being followed here is, hello sir, am I audible sir?
Audible. Continue, madam.
Yes,
Please
sir.
continue. Audible.
Yes, yes. So majorly the source of wastewater is from in and around Chikmagalur and Markera districts. We have set up a bioreactor wherein the reactor was operated for 2 phases. On the whole, we have worked for 126 days, of which we have divided into 2 phases. One phase was worked with the raw wastewater, which was a mere failure just because of some of the one reason being the recalcitrant nature of the wastewater. Henceforth, it was decided to dilute the wastewater so as to reduce the concentration. And further, that was the other phase. So the experimental system composed of a reactor which was operated in sequencing batch mode under anaerobic aerobic condition with 24-hour cycle. Each cycle was divided into 17-hour anaerobic phase and an aerobic phase of 6 hours, 1 hour for settling, decant and fill phases. The reactor was initially fed with raw coffee pulping wastewater in the phase 1, and later in the phase 2, that is during the dilution, it was taken with 1:4 dilution. During the aerobic phase, air was injected to the reactor by the aerator and anaerobic conditions were created by turning off the aerator. The SBR system was inoculated with a seed culture made of cow dung with 300 ml made upon with 1000 ml tap water. Preferably, the cow dung was used as a seed culture because cow dung was rich in heterotrophic bacteria, which is responsible for denitrification process. So here is our anaerobic aerobic SBR with a total volume of 5 liter and a working volume of 3 liter operated with 1 cycle per day. So now it was reported that cow dung seed culture contains heterotrophs, nitrifiers, denitrifiers, and phosphate accumulating organisms. Henceforth, so as to stimulate the phosphate accumulating organisms, the reactor was fed with coffee wastewater further after the acclimatization period of 3 weeks. Initially, the system was operated using the aquarium pump for the first 3 days so as to enhance the cell density and to increase the dissolved oxygen with the probable mixing. Once there was sufficient flux developed, then the reactor was operated with 1 cycle per day. So here are the instrumental methods that we have followed during the course of the study. So here is the characteristics table, which was characterized. Basically, we had selected SBR to achieve simultaneous nitrification and denitrification along with COD and phosphorus removal. One of the prime reasons for selecting SBR was that when biological nutrient removal is desired, the steps in the react cycle, that is in the second phase of the cycle, could be adjusted so as to provide aerobic and anaerobic phase in sequence. And the other major advantage is that phase in the sequence could be rearranged and modified, and even it could be omitted depending upon the circumstances or depending upon the desired result. So here is the slide that shows the trends of the COD removal, and we can just see from the graph that we have worked for around 126 days, and this figure shows the variations of COD for the entire study period. So the influent concentration of the COD was around 10,000 mg per L, and the COD removal on the first day was very less. So it was followed for some of the 1 or 2 weeks. The later, the COD uptake in the anaerobic phase was less, and it was around 48%, with the subsequent aerobic phase reduced to 8%, which was very less, looking on to the results. So it continued up to 51 days. The raw coffee pulping wastewater concentration, there was yet 9,460 around. We can just see from the diagram, you can just see from the figure that it is around 9,000 to 10,000 yet. And at the anaerobic phase, the concentration was 3,000 to 5,000. During these days, the COD removal observed was very less, that was around 20 to 40%. So henceforth, from day 50 to 60, as it can be observed here, the raw coffee pulping wastewater concentration was 8,000 to 9,000. And then the COD concentration here could be around 1,700 to 3,200 mg per L. So here, at the end of the aerobic phase, the concentration now reduced to around 2,000 mg per L, which was less comparatively. Since the effluent COD concentration was very high, as said, it was decided to reduce the influent COD concentration by diluting it with the tap water. So after dilution, the end anaerobic COD concentration was high and it reduced to 650 mg per L to 1000 mg per L. And the effluent COD concentration was in the range of 200 to 500 mg per L, wherein we can observe that the percentage removal increased to 50% from 28%, which was during the initial studies. As it can be seen from the graph that after 90 days, it can be seen that later after some 92 to 94 days, the COD values was very less, that in comparison with the start, less, that is in the range of 500 mg per L. So here, the overall COD removal expected was more than 60%, and we draw the result of around 69 to 83% by the end of 126.
Asha? Asha madam, are you giving presentation?
Hello.
Asha madam? Your voice is not audible.
Yeah, Asha, who could not hear anything.
The presentation got disconnected abruptly.
How many presentations, ma'am?
Sir, altogether, this was the last one, sir.
Last one.
Okay.
Sir, now you can start with the panel discussion.
Okay. What about this? Asha completed or you are continuing?
Not
with other
completed, sir. Not
present?
completed, sir.
Sir, the connection, it got disconnected. Okay, sir, if you have any questions for the presenters, please ask, sir.
Yeah. Is it Dr. Asha?
Sir, I'm Soumya.
Okay. Madam, that presentation disconnected?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, presentation is disconnected. Okay, this is the end of the session. So you can conclude, sir.
Okay. Shivendra, you can answer. Okay. First, let me sincerely thank the organizers. Okay. And Professor, my close friend,
Dr. Ramaraju. Dr. Ramaraju, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Ramaraju. Hello, Ramaraju,
yes,
sir.
Is there, sir? Online.
Yeah. So let me sincerely thank Dr. Ramaraju for inviting me for this international conference and institute for having organized such a meaningful international conference online, although it may be. But totally there were 4 presentations. To be honest, I was not much impressed with the first 2 presentations, namely that non-biodegradable plastic waste management.
Plastic waste and flower waste management.
Flower waste management. Although the topics were very good and relevant topic, But the contents, I was a little disappointed, to be honest. But remaining two are really very good presentations, particularly the floodplain inundation by Vishwanath Bhatt, and a very informative and a very good study. So I was much impressed with their presentation. And in fact, the final Dr. Ajsa presentation was also very good, and topic is also very good. And the sequencing batch reactor, in fact, I was much more interested to interact with her because my area is also similar kind of an area. Yeah. So by and large, it was very good. And if Asha is once again connected, I have a few, not questions like that, just I wanted to interact. There is one. Otherwise, everything is very nice, ma'am. And once again, I sincerely thank the organizers and Asha madam, and my friend and all of you. Congratulations.
Hello, sir.
Sir, Asha madam is there. You can go ahead and ask
Asha madam
questions.
is there.
Sorry, sir, there was a disconnection with my network.
Okay, anyway, Asha madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have very small clarifications.
Yes, sir.
You didn't focus on the color of the coffee pulp wastewater.
Yes, sir. It was because of the color which was not reduced in spite of the longer duration. The demand was that there was a requirement of the pre-treatment. So further studies, we gave the
They did
pre-treatment.
not mention about the color. Color is one of the major issues over there.
Yes, sir. It has been mentioned in the characteristics.
The sequencing batch reactor, SBR also we call it as.
Yes, sir.
And that is fine. But only thing is regarding the dilution, you know. You didn't mention about the dilution ratio.
So it is 1:4, sir. I mentioned it as 1:4.
Maybe during the presentation, I didn't listen properly. That is it after the anaerobic treatment or?
No, sir. It was because of the increased concentration, we couldn't draw good results. Hence, we just went for the dilution of 1:4 in the later stages, that is after some 50 days.
Diluted with tap water?
Yes, sir. It was with the tap water.
Yeah. Here I have some small, water is already a scarce commodity.
Yes, sir. Yes. It was one of the major disadvantages. Yes, sir.
Adding water 4 times more than the wastewater.
Yes, sir.
And increasing the quantity of the wastewater and increasing the size of the reactor, because increasing the volume.
Sir, the concern was to reduce the concentration. It was just.
Yeah, I do understand. I did handle distillery wastewater. Yeah.
Yes.
So much more problematic. So here you have to come with certain innovations to reduce the dilution effect.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Is it a research topic? Is it a research topic? Or are you doing PhD on this?
Sir, my PhD work is on coffee pulping wastewater, and I have been awarded with this topic. And the thing is, I'm happy that you are my examiner during my MTech studies, which I did on SBR again, sir.
Okay, I could not see you then. Okay.
Sir, my guide is Dr. B. Manoj Kumar, sir, from SJ College of Engineering.
Okay. And I think what was the sequencing? SBR, was it SBR or what that your MTech study was?
Sir, MTech studies, it was on SBR with the treatment of domestic wastewater.
I do remember.
Yes,
very
sir.
good, ma'am. It's a very good topic.
Thank you,
and
sir.
The only thing is dilution. Generally, that is the major disadvantage. So there only we have to come out with some innovative ideas.
Yes, sir. So henceforth,
okay, very nice.
We just went with, yes, sir.
Are you still serving which college?
So I'm presently working for Maharaja Institute of Technology, sir. Yes, sir. I work for Maharaja Institute of Technology.
Regards to our principal, sir, Naresh Kumar.
Yes, sir. Dr. B.G. Naresh Kumar.
You please convey my regards to Naresh Kumar. He's very good for that.
Okay. Surely, sir. Surely. Thank you very much. I shall convey it to you.
Really, shortly, I'm planning to visit your college just to meet Naresh.
Required to pass the message.
And also, Ramaraju also I have to meet him.
Yes, sir.
So, Ramaraju sir, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Sir, I'm waiting for you to talk. Anyway, since the session is going on, just I kept quiet. ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ sir? How are you, sir? ನಿಮ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಕಡೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು. Yes, no problem. ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಕಡೆ ನಾವು.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಮುಗಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಔಟ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಬನ್ನಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಬರಲೇಬೇಕು ನಾನು. ಅಡ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಮುಗಿದ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬನ್ನಿ. ಯು ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ನನ್ನ ರಿಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇಜಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಾರ್ದು.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಗೋ ಹೆಡ್.
Okay, thank you, and also thank
The Soumya madam, she was in connection with me regularly. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you, Asha madam, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shivyogi Mutt sir, for accepting our invitation and sharing the technical session 3 in your busy schedule.
It was my pleasure, ma'am.
So I thank Shivendra sir
Thank you, madam.
for conducting these technical session 3.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Okay.
So shall we end the session 3, sir?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Sir.
Yes, madam, we'll end.
Okay.
You are going to start again at, madam, you are going to start again at 3:30?
Yes, sir, 3:30. Sir, it's already 3:30.
Yeah, because I think Sagu is waiting from
yes,
UK. Now the next speaker.
Oh, okay, sir.
Dr. Ramaraj, sorry for the delay.
No problem, sir. Nothing to be worried.
Some admissions were going a little stuck up.
Oh, Sagu is had to come. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, namaskar. Amrit Sagu sir, namaskar.
Hi, namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
How are you? Good morning.
I am fine, sir. I am fine.
Everything okay?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, thank you. I was partly listening.
Yeah. I request Soumya madam to just introduce and
okay.
Yeah, please.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, delegates and students. So now I welcome Dr. Amritpal Sagu, Head of the Department in the School of Architecture, Design and the Built Environment, Nottingham Trent University, UK, to the third day international conference. Sir Sagu is a chartered building surveyor and is a member of the Quantity Surveying, Valuation and Project Management faculties of the RICS. Additionally, Sir is a corporate member of the Chartered Institute of Builders. He has over 30 years experience in higher education and has had an opportunity to work with 3 modern universities: Wolverhampton University, Coventry University, and RMIT University, in a range of senior management roles. In particular, Dr. Sagu has had substantial involvement in line management, resource management, curriculum development, and quality assurance initiatives, aligning the curriculum structure and content with industry expectations and the improvement of the student experience and employability. On behalf of our institution, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Professor Ramuja. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I don't know whether you can hear me. Sometimes it does play up the system. But if you, I'll try to speak slowly as possible, just in case we don't capture things. So I'll start my presentation if that's okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So now I request Dr. Amritpal Sagu sir to deliver the keynote address on sustainability, rethinking civil engineering education.
Okay, thank you. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yes, sir. The screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. Just 1 second. Okay, so thank you for the introduction. And it's I've been listening in yesterday and early this morning, and I think congratulations to Professor Ramujan, who's actually done a fantastic job at the college, at the university, arranging this super conference, which is very topical at the moment, which is very relevant in today's climate. So for today, as the introduction was, my name is Amrit Sagu. I'm at Nottingham Trent University, head of Department of Construction Management. And today's topic, I thought the best way to do it is to actually put sustainability and look at rethinking civil engineering education, where we are at the moment, what we need to do to make it to look forward, and what things we need to consider in realigning our education curricula to meet the expectations of industry today, tomorrow, and in the future engineers as well. So that's what we're looking at today. So I start the presentation with a quick structure, a quick overview of civil engineering, where it is, what skill set we need for civil engineers and the construction profession as well, how the landscape is changing, the problems we are actually confronting today, and this sustainability agenda which is now looming upon us. Then the digital agenda, how to make building structures, infrastructure more smarter, because there's new way of living, new way of thinking, new way of constructing. Are we all stuck in the old ways of construction? And what are the challenges facing us in higher education? When I say higher education, obviously in India, it would be the universities and colleges that deliver the undergraduate, postgraduate program. So how is that sort of challenges facing us in higher education? What do we need to do to realign our curricula to make sure that the graduates that we produce today, we know they meet the set skills today, but what if in 5 years time, 10 years time, 15 years time, what would the skill set change? And are we really responding to those skill sets that we really building in? And do we need to be resilient in building those skill sets? And how do we bring the industry into the classroom? What are the things we should be doing more of? And how do you make sure that happens? Then I'm going to finish off with a summary. So, and obviously with the last bit on questions and so forth. So, as you know, civil engineering is a very, very old, established profession. Started many hundreds of years ago. And it incorporates a lot of aspects of everything. I suppose in India and parts of Africa, there's only two words people hear: a civil engineer and an architect. For them, for these countries, everything is a civil engineer. He's a designer, he's a valuer, he's a structural engineer, a project manager, and a contracts manager, residential engineer. You should name it. You've got everything. It incorporates every aspect of it. So as part of civil engineering, we're looking at sort of strengths of materials, mechanics, all aspects of what the infrastructure is, how the buildings stand by themselves, what sort of elements are subjected to, and the usability. So it's a very global word, and it's really well established in India in a quite a very big way. Yeah, it incorporates a lot of areas. Then if you have then when you look at skill sets, over the years, the skill set haven't really changed. Yeah, other than saying that the civil engineering is really more based on modeling, resolving problems, designing, calculation, being creative, and responding to the science, if you like, in the real world, and making sure that the infrastructure, whether it's the tunnels, whether it's the buildings, whether it's the actual cladding, glazing panels, whatever they are, they stand with against the climate and the weather that we have. So it's all about modeling, it's all about designing, it's all like tried and tested aspects of engineering that we're looking at. So those are general, broadly speaking, those are skill sets in engineering that we require. Things are changing quite rapidly, and those changes are creating huge problems at the moment. So the landscape is changing. We know that there's problems with the global warming. The natural fires, if you like, yeah, or earthquakes, extremities of weathers, all those elements are presenting us huge issues that we need to confront. Yeah, I think we have over the last 30 years, we've experienced a lot of freak weather, fire, flooding, and the whole economy has been affected by it. It just goes to show that what are we in control of, and all these what we belong, where we live, the world is actually a subsidiary of or subject to control of the environment and the law of nature. I think it's fair to say that any investment of time and money associated with the construction or built environment here, if it doesn't include environmental aspects, it's not a good investment. And if we don't consider these in a global way, the region-wise issues, yeah, then there'll be a cost for the future. So if we don't consider those factors today, but the future, it'll cost us in long term as time passes on. I put this slide up just to say that, you've seen over the last, 10, 15 years, more particularly last year, we've seen David Attenborough, his insight into a life on our planet. I think that's really, really good because it really brings into the real documentaries he's put together. He's basically saying that we are a race. There's no other race on this earth, yeah, that had full control of how to design, how to build, how to live, yeah, and other species haven't been able to do that, yeah. We have full control on all aspects of living under earth, and we also have this now. I think the layers, when you look at this, ultimately forces us to, it's made us responsible, yeah, whether we like it or not, yeah. But the hands of the future is within us. It's down to us to control the future of the built environment, the infrastructure surrounding us, yeah, and we need to be very, very, appreciative of that. And if we fail that sort of aspect, yeah, then we fail not only ourselves but also the future generations as well. So we're not just looking about us as humanity surviving. We also take harmony with the surrounding, the creatures, the plant life, and all the other things that will be shared on this earth with those creatures and the plant life and the nature that we have. Yeah. So I think we come to a point where we are looking at ways of designing, ways of looking through. Yeah. So we're really experiencing tides of change, and I think there's governments, yeah, there's organizations and local authorities, and I suppose indeed the construction industry is now declaring climate change as a emerging emergency and setting targets for various aspects which I'll talk about shortly. I think when you look at the global change, what does that mean? What does that mean for us then? Well, when you look at the bigger picture, our cities are overgrowing. Yeah, our cities are overgrowing. We are now at the verge of looking at overgrowing, overpopulated. Maybe it's a common thing in certain parts of the world, certainly in the Western world. We're seeing a huge change, rapid change. The majority of the world's population now live in cities. I think huge challenges around mobility, energy, water, health and well-being is a critical thing. So we need to now start looking at more smarter cities, digitally connected systems, and propose solutions for those smart cities. We have emerging examples of roles of IT enabling solutions to manage energy management systems, smart buildings, travel, smart lighting systems, and the governance around privacy, security, and so forth. Yeah. So what about people who live in the cities then? What do they want? Have we asked them? Should we ask them? Should we ask the owner occupiers? Should we ask the people who are living in the cities what they're looking for? Yeah. Or is it just trying to make ends meet? And there's a saying William Shakespeare said, yeah, what is a city about but people? Is it really about people? Is it really about the connections that we have within the city? Yeah, it's about people who live in the city. City is important or people are important. So we need to start exploring that element of it. I suppose really the what I'm trying to say is the landscape is changing and the race is on. So everyone is trying to beat that race, either produce materials which are innovative, responsive to climate challenge, or we're looking for energy efficient solutions, yeah, or we're looking for longevity, yeah, low cost, low energy, and long life, loose fit, yeah. Is that what we're looking for? In a sense, the both cities and buildings that people live in, we've got all hurdles to overcome rather than resources to be utilized. And I think a positive force of good knowledge. There's a saying that the lost time, I've heard it said, buildings would function perfectly if it wasn't for people. Remind our buildings, who are they for? What are the buildings for? They're building infrastructure for a purpose. Otherwise, there'd be no point in building, designing buildings and infrastructure that if there wasn't a population that it serves. I think that's really quite a critical challenge we need to sort of embrace there. When we're looking at then the changing landscape in the Western world, there is various tides of changes going on in terms of guidance frameworks, organizations, government, local authorities, and also in the construction industries, looking at climate change as a really a top priority, because humanity, we want to be here forever and ever. You know, when you look at yourself in the mirror, I often look at in the mirror, just thinking, well, how old I was yesterday, how old was the other day. I often see my gray hair growing, yeah, and then when I see other people, yeah, I don't see, I see them, I realize they're getting old rather than me getting old, because this inner thing is always 21 years old, yeah, and eventually our time will come to go, and what we're saying is we're not here forever and ever. We need to start planning, looking at the future generations, setting targets for zero net. And often these standards are really based on new buildings, and the majority of low carbon targets have been set, attributes, materials, construction, and the manufacturing. This then really raises the question: is as engineers, yeah, how do we replace carbon emissions? What do we need to do to make the designs much more innovative in design and carbon material impact less? Yeah. And then also look at the more wider issues of efficiency and circular economy strategies. And these are no longer optional for us. Yeah. They're essential part of it. So when you look at low carbon, looking at alternative design, looking for circular economy strategies, these were optional like 10 years ago in the Western world. Now longer is no optional, it's essential. Yeah. So we need to make sure that what we develop, what we design, our new engineers that we create, new generation engineers are aware of some of the consequences of their design. This then forces all the stakeholders to ensure that when they're designing and building, we use smarter ways of designing, smarter ways of constructing, smarter ways of using the facilities to ensure there's a economic efficiency and effectiveness, which is part of the whole lifelong process. Yeah. I suppose then this raises a question: how well do we embed these themes within the curriculum? How important are they, and what do they actually mean for us? I then move on to give you, you know this anyway, yeah. But smart cities, what would the smart living? What would that entail? Does that mean using wind power, solar power? Is it really about people, how they involve with the structures, with the infrastructure, the spaces that are open, that are used for a particular purpose? What about the transportation? What about the waste? And how do you capture that energy being redistributed? The amount of sun that comes to India, yeah, shines in India, it's absolutely enormous. You know, why is it that we don't have solar gain panels on every city? So people don't have to pay for electricity. We don't have to burn coal. We don't have to rely on nuclear power. Why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we just make it a great green, friendly place where everyone can enjoy electricity free of cost? Yeah, there is initial costs. Yeah, but those will outweigh the benefits that will have for society as a whole. Okay, so those are some things I'm sort of focused on looking at. And when you look at civil engineering, if you look at India, much like other countries as well, much of the infrastructure that was built many years ago, it's now coming to a point where now looking at ways of replacing. It's aging. It's coming to end of life, intended life design. It needs to be replaced. Often certain elements or certain roads, certain bridges have gone beyond the expected life and intended life, and they're now coming to a point where they need to replace aspects of it. And what does this mean then? It gives us opportunity, I think, yeah, to really look at, you know, what can we do with these structures? So because the building's aging, the infrastructure is aging, it's leading to unsafe bridges, inadequate flood defenses, decaying pipelines, tunnels, airports, and so forth, water treatment, yeah, water supply system, power systems, and so forth. I suppose, you know, every country is developing in a different way, and India could be, yeah, about maybe 50 years behind the Western world. It's got another, they're saying it's got another 78 odd years to catch up to the Western world, the way the Western world is at the moment. But I think at the end of the day, what we are looking at is a way of now using this to reflect on where we are at the moment and what options can we provide? How do we need to change this? And I think the opportunities are for next generation engineers to provide a more smarter, more efficient, low carbon ways of delivering improved services. And that could be design side, obviously looking at the design element of infrastructure. What would that entail? Yeah, there are challenges, and obviously it's not easy. But given the constraints that we have, we need to look at what those challenges are. I think looking at all the things I've talked about and I've seen, I've read, yeah, I think what we need to do is to make sure that we have key principles that needs addressing in the curricula that we develop. And some of the key principles will revolve around looking at work within environmental limits. What are the environmental limits? Do we really take that into account fully? How do we embrace those? Yeah, I mean that's the first thing we need to sort of embrace. What are these? The limits. Do we understand the limits? Do we understand the climate change? How do we develop minimum social economic standards? Are there such standards available? If they aren't, what are we doing about them to realize those standards? Are there any benchmarks that we can use from the Western world to emulate into India? Yeah. Do we need to consider the intern generalization equity? Yeah. And I suppose what I'm saying is what we need to do is, do we need to consider what the future might be of these buildings, of this infrastructure we're designing, and look at the systems in a complex way. I know when I'm doing a lot of structural design in UK, I always tend to look at what the not just relying on this wind loading that was developed, modeling systems now, but also add a few more extra risk in there to make sure that anything that we design, build is risk averse. So we're protecting our clients and customers and making sure that we are within the confines of that. This then bounds the whole thing which I've described here in this final thing was it's really about setting targets, measuring against environment limits, structure businesses and project suitability, set targets and what those how are measured, and then making sure that we respect people and human rights, because often we don't do that. Making sure that we have a long-term plan. Consider the life cycle stages. What are they? Yeah, is it design? Is it build? Is it construction? Is it use? Yeah. What about after use? What about demolition? What about reuse? Yeah. And open up the problem space and looking at the discipline boundaries and deal with how do we deal with uncertainty. Yeah. Consider the integrated approach, multifunctionality of assets. In the UK, assets are a big thing at the moment. Yeah, like I said, it's all being renewed. What do we need to do to make sure that those assets that we live in, that we use, we take it for granted? Can we have them extended life for another 100 years or something? Yeah, it comes down to how well do we prepare ourselves, and I think the engineers do. I think what we do need to do is just to embrace more challenges on the sustainability and the climate change within that sort of profession. Okay, so I've listed down what the challenges are, and I'm just this is me as an outsider, yeah, looking in where the challenges are. Higher education providers generally in India comprises state universities and those colleges affiliated with those universities. Some of the state universities are so rigid; they're too late to respond to changes. So they don't respond to that much change. There's some of I'm just generalizing now. I'm not identifying any particular university in India. I've visited quite a few of them, yeah, across India. But some just lack innovation. The infrastructure is quite weak, and the quality standards are not really there. They've been able to wide range of candidates and very restricted funding. You look at quality of campus. So those are the things that we have, because a university writes syllabus, and the local colleges deliver that syllabus. So there is very little chance of innovation for those colleges. Those colleges really be connected with the universities to make that change. Like for example, at DSU, if the department wanted to make some changes within the curricula, within the learning outcomes, it's quite easy for them to do it. Yeah. Whereas a state university might have difficulty in doing it and forcing that change within the colleges. So there are some rigid systems there which are quite slow to respond to those changes. Whereas there are some private universities and colleges, and the quality varies across the, not in India, but across the globe. Yeah, some are very profit motivated, very low quality. Some are really great and has a name. Some are quite innovative and respond to market change very quickly. Yeah. Then you've got the deemed universities in India who have stood test of time for quality delivery. They've been there for many, many years. They've got to a point where now they've got the right quality, right mix. They deliver the right curricula and really well respected in the region. Yeah. And they're very competitive, and they will respond to changes quite quickly, and very innovative in their approach in delivery, and they got passion and determination. And I think with some of the state colleges, they might not have that passion and the drive. Yeah, Not quite sure, but I'm just generalizing. So I'm not just picking out any particular out, I'm just generalizing. Then obviously what's in there is the NIATs as well. So those are quite sort of key players where there's very little restriction on funds, yeah, but they do respond to the directives of where the curricula, where things need to go. And they are much more in a far better position because the finances, the infrastructure, the whole sort of portfolio. Okay. So what? Okay. So that's where we are with the Education India in a summary form. Please you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is me just generalizing on where we are. Yeah. I think the way forward for education, civil engineering education in India is to make sure that we create a very distinctive portfolio. So at the moment, right, you have civil engineering, you might have civil engineering, structural engineering, you might have construction management to one side, you might have architecture to the other side. I think what we need to do is to make sure that we connect with these disciplines. The more we connect with these different disciplines, I think the better prepared we are, because the world out there, when you manage a job, when an engineer goes out there, he'll be not just working with engineers only, he'll be working with the architects, he'll be working with other property professions as well. Yeah. So how do we embrace that sort of connectivity into the pathway? Yeah. And making sure that we really align the students with the current thinking, current knowledge of what the real world looks like for them. Yeah. And how do you provide this transformative student experience? Yeah. Give them a flavor of what they will expect in their journey, in their career. And that journey might be through looking at the you know, how you engage with students, what exercise you put together, how do you model, simulate that industry into the classroom type scenario. Really looking at pedagogy, not just looking at books. Yeah. So when we do the teaching, for example, do we rely heavily on the book, the answers in the book, the whole world evolves around the book? I think what we need to do is to stand back from the book, stand back from things, take a few, you know, steps back and say, look, this is what the theory is saying, this is what this book is saying. The answer may not be in the book, but let's just see what other options there are. I think this is where the problems are with the colleges affiliated to the universities. The colleges simply follow the syllabus. Yeah. The exams are by the university, not by the college. And when there is chance to innovate, sadly, the students may not be tested on that element because the university is setting exams. So what we need to do is make sure that our teaching, learning, our pedagogy is reflective of the current things. Yeah, I would urge, you know, that all universities, state universities, and colleges to have real deep dive into the curricula. Yeah. I know it's got to meet all this Indian education engineering standards, yeah, but it's worthwhile looking at getting somebody to look through a third person, another clean pair of eyes, and just looking at the curricula and see how well that matches it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for development there. I think the other thing is what we need to do is to make sure we look at the impact of research innovation. Yeah, we don't do that as much. What we need to do is to make sure that we share that experience, share the research, share the output. Yeah. I tell you this story. This is my view. If I were to register, say, at one of the universities down south, yeah, and another university up north, another university on the east side, 3 people registering on the same PhD topic, yeah, and only one person does the PhD, the other 2 will copy and present. Yeah, I put it to you that nobody will know who's done the work. Every university will say, "Oh, this is genuine work, originality work." Yeah, I think the problem is we don't share that knowledge and experience. I mean, and this conference is really fantastic way forward in sharing the research being done. I think more of these collaborative research seminars that we have, across India, across UK, across the Western world, the better it is, so people understand what the knowledge and experiences are. Sadly, there is a thought that we often operate like villagers, you know, village mentality. This is mine, that's yours, and we don't share. Yeah, we need to start share if we are going to be the university or country of the future, knowledge and training. We need to start sharing that knowledge and experience and research, innovation, collaborate with each other, work together. Yeah, and we need to do more of that. The more we collaborate, the more the more better understand we have, the more learned our students will become, and then you're creating a whole holistic engineer, not just a boxed in tunnel viewed engineer. Yeah. So more you expose this to the students, the better it is. I like this conference because I'm sitting in England at the moment. Yeah. It's roughly about sort of 20 to 11 in the morning. So we could do lectures, you know, 1 hour lecture, you know, and share that knowledge with the students there, and also like, you know, as a collaboration between different countries. And there's nothing stopping now. There was a big stop going back before COVID, yeah, where we had to travel there and all the expenses and all the things. Now everything's done remotely. So there's a new way of doing it. So let's start that sharing knowledge and experience innovations across the globe. I'm not just saying with me, Amrit, yeah, but let's just do it across other institutions as well. Yeah, let's cast that network more wider so we can share that experience, and so we know where the experts are, and it's all about respect and understanding. Yeah. And then what we're saying is, how do you manage the resources to create that capacity? We need to understand there's capacity, there's talent. How do we empower students and lecturers to make that sort of call and give them that sort of confidence that what they're doing is great. Yeah. And then for me, it's how do you bring that increase industry presence in that sort of classroom and introduce employability. I see a lot of students from India, and they say, oh, so I've done +2, I've done my civils degree, I've done my master's engineering degree, I've done a PhD. Now, can I do something else with you, like another PhD? So, look, education is education, education. What we need to do is to really, 1 degree is more than enough. It's what you want to do with the career. Are we really making our curricula, our students more prepared for the industry and employability? Yeah. Or are we just creating graduates to become teachers, lecturers, and professors? Yeah. Is that what it is? I think what we need to do is to do more than that. I think it's not necessarily about delivery. It's really about creating an engineer who's got that exposure and experience and who's successful in his field. Yeah. Rather than turning everybody into a bookworm. Yeah. That's just my sort of thoughts. Yeah. And then I think what we need to also do is we need to make sure that we reach out to the global and promote the student mobility, exchange, working on projects, working together collaboratively with partners, and that will definitely be the way doing it. So in the realignment figure, what are we looking at? I suppose when we're reflecting on what's really happened, we're reflecting on what's a challenge facing us, we're saying, what can we do? I suppose my starting point is now, look, we've made the huge changes. You know, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the world. Yeah. And how we respond to the change, I think the world has had to adopt overnight, within the week. Those changes in the way we deliver work, deliver lectures, how employers operate, how businesses operate, how communities operate as well. So it's forced us, but it's taken a pandemic to force that change. Yeah, because we all think we knew what we're doing. We all think we control everything around us, but there's this far more super being. Yeah. And nature is telling you you're not in control of anything. Yeah. So those companies who have responded positively and universities responded positively are still here and still offering a very good service. Yeah. For those who don't respond and those who don't react to those changes are being forced out of business. Yeah. And there's no students, there's no work, and we're all being forced out. So I suppose we are responding to change, but we only do it when it's absolutely the fine hour comes and we're going to make the decision. We should be making those decisions on a daily basis anyway, but it's forced the world to change the way it's working. So how do you bring that sort of industry, bringing the industry into the classroom? Do we bring that passion with a purpose? And how do we infuse that life-changing experience to students, to people who are going to be participating in our undergraduate, postgraduate research projects, yeah, to make those ready for life and work experiences? And I think, you know, bringing that industry classroom stems from a number of ways we can. We partly do that. We need to do more of this. We make sure that the assessments that we develop, and I know I really I do sympathize. There are some institutions who can't do this. Yeah. So what we need to do is make sure that if we are able to assess students, let's make assessments, make sure they're based on live projects. Yeah. Within the region, working closer with partners, industry partners. Yeah. If you don't have industry partners, what I would say to you is set up an industry advisory board. Look at your past graduates, look what they're doing, bring them on board, see where they can share the knowledge and experience, or bring live projects to the school, to the university, and maybe start working on that basis. Yeah. So that could quite easily happen. So all the assessments from year 1 to year 4 are really based on live projects. And I guess sometimes it might be difficult to do that. So because there'll be, you know, the foundation of civil engineering degrees is year 1. You know, you've got to know the ins and outs of the analytical aspects of maths, science, structural design, and so forth. Yeah, it may be that there's modules in the second year that you can create a link in the second year, which links all the modules in of year 1 and year 2 as a live project. Yeah, I think it can be done. So it may be not possible in year 1, but certainly year 2 and year 3, you could create capstone modules that will pick out the key learning and the professional focus on each of the modules. But you can only do that by creating industry, working very closely with industry partners, I think. It may be also worthwhile, yeah, is creating industry mentors. So if you look back at your alumni, yeah, people who graduated 10, 15, 20 years ago, where are they at the moment? Yeah, can they come to the university, or can we assign, say, 5 students to one mentor, and the mentor will come into the university or meet with the students once every, I don't know, 8 weeks, once a term, or once a month, yeah, for an hour, just see how things are, because these students are quite young, they don't know what the industry is really like. So if when you attach mentors, you're creating a very powerful tool for them to mature in the field much quicker. Yeah, we've discovered that when we're sending students out for 1 year placement, year of placement after the second year, when they come back in this final year, there's almost like a DNA, like a blood transfusion that's taken place here. So DNA has changed. They're now on time. They're now very conscious. They're now producing assignments. You know, a very structured way. Their behavior is different, very professional way. And I think you can do that by not only having a 1 year outplacement, but also assigning mentors to students. So they can play, these mentors can play role models for the students. And I think the other thing is just to introduce these role play exercises, you know, have one module that links all the architects, engineers and designers together, and have some role play, you know, have a live project and say, you're the architect, you're the client, and you're the builder, and you're the engineer, you're the designer. and each one has a role turn, and I think you learn a lot by just mingling with people with different roles. Yeah, this year, we've created created actors on one of the modules. So we've created a client role, not academics. These are proper actors, comedians, and so forth. So one acts as a client, one acts as a project manager. Then my students will act as a builder, designer, and so forth. Yeah, so they're all mingling in, and they're responding to the client's changes and subcontractor changes. So it's one way of really introducing that resilience and real life activity. Yeah. And we all get involved in case study fieldwork. So we keep on promoting the fieldwork case study relevant to that profession. And simulation games. Maybe have simulation games. So there are a number of softwares that are freely available, or they may cost a certain proportion. If you're interested in creating a team, creating a project, there is a number of software I can email if you're interested in having this simulation software where people act roles and there's deliverables, and then you could be forming part of the assessment on a module. And why not make it more exciting, have multi-criteria decision making within the work that we do? I think if staff were able to do consultancy work within the university, bring those projects along. Yeah, there's a lot of passion and driven by this consultancy work. It gives staff an edge. Yeah, and to demonstrate they're relevant, they're appropriate, and they are future facing. And that's really a fantastic sign. And try to bring those consultancy work into the classroom if possible. I suppose what we're trying to say is we're trying to develop a specific skill set in not only sustainability, but really looking at what can we do to make things work for students and for us, and for prepare them for the next 50, 60, 80, 90 years of their future career as engineers. So how do we deal with complexity? How do we deal with uncertainty? And what do we do to the design, to the solution, to make change? How do you deal with the change? Dealing with the disciplines, do we know what the disciplines are? Yeah. Do we know how to talk? Yeah, it's great to write reports, great to write formulas, great to write calculations, but can we talk in a multidisciplinary team? And how would that role would vary? Yeah. Who has the upper hand? Who understands contracts? Yeah. How the contracts, what the relationships are? Yeah. How do we deal with environmental limits? Yeah. Do we know there is efficiencies and pollution controls and other systems that we need to be aware of? Yeah. How do we deal with people? Do we deal with consultants? How do we negotiate with society and individuals? Yeah. And how do we deal with the situations that might cause problems? How do we negotiate? Yeah. If we're threatened, how do we deal with those sort of situations when you've got behavioral issues, mental health issues? Yeah. All those things are going to be important. They have been important as part of COVID. They are here. There's a lot of mental health problems, across the industry, across the sector, across the country. So how do individuals do? Do we need to embed that part of our curriculum somewhere? Yeah. How do you produce leaders? Do we need to look at developing leaders and dealing with people? And dealing with whole life costing, do we know what the impact will be of our solutions down the line and a few years to come? Is there a trade-off between, say, traditional solutions and the current modern solutions? I suppose when we're looking at all this, what we're trying to be looking at transforming student learning experience through inspiring teaching. And I think it's empowering the teachers to think outside the box, to bring that sort of change and giving that student a wow factor in their experience in the learning environment they're exposed to. Yeah, and and look at different technologies that will help assist academics in bringing that transforming learning experience to students. Yeah? We learn, they learn how to teach, learn how to develop, and then I'm sure the students equally have a similar, passion and commitment there. Yeah. In that sort of form, I just want to then sort of move on to say, look, what's happening in Bangalore? This college that we're all sitting in the conference at, I think they're quite innovative. I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting as a keynote speaker. I think they are quite innovative. They are connected with the community. I've been here about a year ago. I've seen the work that this college does, the department does. It's absolutely fantastic, helping the community to revive, to help sustain, and to develop skill sets in there. I think we need to create more collaborative partnership in developing construction skills amongst deprived neighborhoods and disadvantaged communities. Looking at disadvantaged communities, what can we as engineers do, to help that community? So looking at engineers out borders, beyond borders, how do we engage the community? It's not all money based, it's not all consultancy, but it's really trying to empower communities to make the best use of the local facilities and to create a better life for them. So I know DSU has been involved in that. I know they've heavily involved in community projects. I also know that they've been engaged in the water environmental management organizations that have been working quite sort of powerful organization that really focus on waste, water waste and environmental management. I'm just working with Professor Ramujam at the moment, trying to launch a constructing excellence group to promote industry best practices. And it's really a platform. We're trying to create a platform for to showcase projects from the industry. A bit like it's not a lecture as such, but really try to get people from the industry to walk through the project, and to deliver to clients in terms of how the project was incubated, where the challenges were, how the challenges got over, and what lessons can we learn from it. This could be from a client perspective, a constructor, design perspective, user basis. We're trying to create a collaborative framework where everyone can sit under one roof. So we now know the University up in North, we know what their research is about. We know the contractors up North, what they're involved in, what things they're working in, what lessons can the South learn from the North and the North learn from the South. I think the more we learn from each other, the more harmonious relations that we can create here. I think the better we're prepared as universities, the more better prepared the students as well. I think what we need to do is to increase that student mobility through joint projects, joint coursework. I put UK, but it could across the globe. So why can't we develop one global project by design? Construction management, civil engineering project, a global project. So you get partners involved across India, across UK, across the globe, working on one project, and then select the best solution produced by the students. Something like that. Create that sort of next level thinking. I think the more we think that, the more we develop that, the more better it is for us. Now, I've rambled on, for about an hour, I think, and I think the question for me is, who is responsible for our built environment? Are we responsible? Are we as designers responsible? Or is the client responsible? Or is it the nature that's responsible? Whoever is responsible, let's take that responsibility on and let's take care of the future. It's not about today, it's about tomorrow as well. That time is coming. We need to take the responsibility. We need to make sure that we remain relevant, innovative. We need to make sure we're sharp and edgy. We are future facing to meet the challenges that lie ahead of us. And we can only do that by reflecting on what we teach, how well we prepare the students for the future, and how we really connected with the industry and the local community. If we're not connected with the community and the industry, I think there's issues and problems there. Yeah, I think we also need to start really reshaping higher education through engagement with, like I said earlier on, with industry, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. And that way we can actually make sure that we are able to align ourselves, we remain sharp and edgy. Yeah, I think we need to really refresh curricula and maybe realignment our pathways and increase our choice reflective of diversity in the region, internationally, and stakeholders. I think what we need to do is we need to be more smarter in how we create this effectiveness, efficiency, and creating a team in a collaborative working environment. I think now is the opportunity for all universities in India, across the globe, come together under one roof, yeah, and to create this fantastic opportunity that COVID-19 has provided. If there's anything good coming out of it, is this: we can connect with each other, no longer relying on planes, no longer relying on hotels. We can actually be sitting in countries and sharing that platform, sharing the experience that we've actually managed to develop and to harness, yeah, over the last 6 to 9 months. Yeah, so that's my sort of summary in that form. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be bags of questions coming out of this. So I know I've said a lot of things controversial. Yeah, controversial. So I apologize. I haven't. My intention wasn't to offend anybody. Yeah, but if I have done that, then please accept my apologies in advance of the close of this session. Okay, thank you.
Sound, ma'am?
Sir. So thank you so much, sir. So I thank Dr. Amritpal Sago, sir, for the valuable keynote speech. Sir, your keynote speech was full of knowledge and interesting facts. Thank you, sir, for taking time from your busy schedule.
Thank you.
So in this conference, I would like to mention that our department has signed MOU with Nottingham University, UK. So it's our pleasure to have you, sir, in this conference.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure coming here. It's also a pleasure always meeting with Professor Ramajan. Thank you for inviting me. We've got a lot of exciting things happening in a few months to come, especially with this project that we're launching, developing the skill sets among those deprived communities. Yeah, working with the India High Commission and organizations with India. So I think that'll be quite an exciting project to get involved in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So it's our immense pleasure to have you in this conference. And
okay.
Amrit Sagu Saab, thank you, Lord, for delivering a good talk. As you indicated earlier also, very happy and eager to have a collaboration with Nottingham University. And as you indicated, specifically in the sectors of water, sanitation, health, and construction activities, construction management, definitely we are ready to work with you. As some of the consultancy projects are already going at our college, Dayanand Sagara College of Engineering, which is the autonomous institution at Bangalore. And ours is one of the leading institution in South India. That is what I can easily, proudly tell that one.
I know, Professor, because I've when I came to see you last time, I went to, when I left Bangalore, I went to Hyderabad. I also went to Chennai. Yeah. And everyone is singing your praise. Yeah. So I know you're doing a fantastic job. And I think when I was in Hyderabad, they were saying the only place that if they're going to make something happen, it'll be in Bangalore. Maybe DSG will make it work. So I know so where we are with it. So I think that's really good, remarkable things that you're doing. I think just carry on doing those, and I'm sure somewhere along the lines, you get more recognition. Yeah. I think there should be. Is there any way you can start promoting this with other places? Maybe not in the region, but outside your region. Yeah. So other colleges, other universities can do the same thing that you guys are doing, because I think you need to. You're a prime exemplar of what institutions should be doing. Yeah. And not relying simply on a class contact and that's it. Yeah, because most institutions are just in the classroom, outside. Beyond that, they don't do anything more. Yeah, I think you go an extra mile to make it work. Yeah, and for the benefit of the local community and the region.
Sadhu Saab, as you know, civil engineering is such a subject. It is more application oriented. Keeping that in mind, generally we will take the students to the grassroots level. Along with our staff, we will go to the grassroots downest among the down, so that we can easily explain the things, what exactly is happening.
Sure.
They will have a live exposure, and that has got more weightage, specifically in civil engineering, which is very, very important. Then only they can do wonders. You can see, you see the world where exactly the wonders have been happened. It is just from the civil engineering background only. So keeping that in mind, we are working towards that one. Definitely, I don't know. I would like to know how long your proposal takes, so that we can have a MOU at the earliest and proceed further.
I mean, MOU can almost done by March, by February, I'm going to introduce to a lady called Vidhi, Vidhi Shah, she's our person who does the MOUs, but she knows you. I've given all the details. She'll be contact very soon, to get an MOU. But I'm keen on, like what we've done this year is because COVID, we've got most of our final year projects where contractors and organizations will send us drone footage of the site progression. So you could have all the drawings. We can give you all the drawings. We can give you weekly site footage of the progress they're making. So you could use that as a basis for your work that you could do with your students there. So we now got the facility. We can email you the weekly footage and the contract documentation, all the drawings to go along with it. So you can use that project in some sort of shape or form for your students at your college. I think that could be quite easy to do.
In addition to our undergraduate students, we have a post-graduation program in highway engineering and structural engineering, and we have a research unit where nearly 12 students are doing their research work at our institution with several funded projects. So we'll use all these people to draw the fruitful conclusions, or definitely we can come out with meaningful results.
Sure. If ever you want me to do a lecture anytime, like this time, I'm happy to do, from your time, 3 o'clock onwards, I'm happy to do one. Anytime.
Shortly, I request our one of the coordinators there, Professor Ranjita Madam, just she'll back to you at the earliest. We'll discuss further and proceed. There is no problem at all.
All right. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
It's a pleasure meeting you. All the very best. Thank you. Okay. If I don't catch up with you before, then Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
And have a fantastic break. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for accepting our invitation. And we are really grateful to you, sir. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay.
Along with me, Dr. Prakash is also here. He is the head of the Department of Construction Technology and Management. Prakash, you can throw a light. Dr. Prakash, please. Dr. Prakash.
I can see him.
He's here. I think Anyway, no problem at all. Soumya madam, anything to tell?
Sir. Thank you once again, sir, for joining us and presenting keynote speech in today's international conference.
Thank you. You're welcome. Good to speak to you all, and take care and God bless.
Thank you all, sir. Thank you all.
Cheers. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are heading towards the end of the program by proposing vote of thanks. Good evening, respected delegates and our most valued participants. On behalf of our institution, I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Amritpal Sago sir, chairpersons, co-chairpersons, paper presenters, and participants for sparing their valuable time to be with us. I sincerely thank our today's chairpersons, Dr. Nagaraj Sitaram sir, Dr. Venkatesh Babu sir, Dr. C.B. Shivyogi Mat sir, for kindly accepting our invitation and giving their valuable inputs for the paper presenters and participants. I'm thankful to Dr. H.K. Ramaraju sir, Dr. B.T. Shivendra sir, and Dr. Abhishek Pathak sir for being co-chairpersons for today's technical session. So I thank Indian Waterworks Association, the Institution of Engineers, DSCE, IQAC, ICI, for providing us all the possible logistic supports towards organizing the event. I congratulate the organizers, our esteemed institution, for organizing this event in a virtual format amidst COVID-19 pandemic. I acknowledge the unwavering support received from the HODs of Department of Civil Engineering, Department of Construction Technology and Management, and the faculty members. I once again thank everyone whose contribution has made the third day international conference a successful one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I request all the students and participants to attend tomorrow and day after tomorrow's conference to take a maximum academic benefits.
Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Prakash, just now he came. Actually, sir, I was discussing with Amrit Paul. Actually, he was supposed to talk to you. Anyway, it is late now. No problem at all. Today we'll wind the section. We will end up the section, and we'll start tomorrow with the new presentations and all. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.